lights go out, are you ready? Grab the wheel, keep it steady. When the lights go out, are you ready? Grab the wheel, it gets heavy. When the lights go out, are you ready? Are you ready? Grab the wheel, keep it steady, keep it steady. When the lights go out, are you ready? Grab the wheel, keep it steady. I plan for the worst, just a gift and a curse. My lights are so bright, like Sunday in church. On the field of the court, I was making it work. Of course, losing it hurt. But what is it really worth? When your lights go, you better take from the game like lipo. So when they cut the lights out, you can still blow. On your mark, are you ready? Get set, go. Now you know when the lights go out. Are you ready? Yeah. When your lights go out, are you ready? Let them know we do more than just play ball, baby. We do it all. We do it all. When the lights go out, you better know we turn them back on, huh? Let's go.
Turn them back on.
When they go out, man, we do it all. We cutting them back on. What's up, people? When the lights go out, another Thursday, we here. Going through it all, man, but we still here. We appreciate everybody. First, I always start off by saying, what's up, my brother? How are you?
Woo, man, what a week, what a week, what a week, man. Trying to get back in shape, man. Now I'm limping, bro.
Nah, see, no, I ain't gonna let you off that easy. How did it happen?
Brother, walking. Did a 10-mile walk, had the sauna suit, weight vest. I was rolling. Man, got home, felt good, was eating right, eating healthy next day. You know, you try to go take that morning bathroom break. About 20 minutes to get to the bathroom.
Yeah, it's real out here. Listen.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, I commend you, brother, for, trying to stay in shape, get out there, sweat.
It's hard.
Do what we got to do, man, because we do have young people who we need to be here for. And that's kind of what we're going to get into with today's show, when the lights go out. And we're going to talk about injuries and those kind of things because, you can have the best plans in the world, man, and sometimes injuries derail all that, man. And I'm here to tell you, I mean, I firsthand know it. My body fell apart little by little. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was on a high, and just little by little, it just continued to just break down on me. So we're going to get into that a little bit because we've been watching the playoffs and we watching superstars just fold and fall and
deteriorate, man.
When you need your body, it's not responding how they want it to and need it to. There's a lot of things, we could talk about, what you're doing when you off the field, how you taking care of your body when you're not in the game, what you eating. So there's many things we could go into. And with our guest, I watched him firsthand go through some shoulder injuries, things of that nature. And being a quarterback, that's arguably the worst thing that can happen if you got to use that shoulder and throw the ball and that kind of thing. But one thing I will tell you about our guest is I could probably tell you nobody I ever worked out with, worked harder than this man. Like when we grow up, Mark, we seen some crazy stuff. We've been through it all. And sometimes you take other people for granted. And you think just because they may not have seen some of the stuff you've seen and gone through some of the stuff you've seen, you really don't know, man, until you really run across them and meet them. And you kind of figure out you probably got more in common than you do not in common. So without further ado, this is my guy. I went from one great quarterback, and I was lucky enough to follow another great quarterback. We took a chance when people probably thought we was crazy for going to that school. I'm still thankful to this day. Obviously, you can see some of the stuff in the background, Rutgers helmet over here. But he was amazing. And as a receiver, the prettiest ball in America. My thumb is still pretty jacked up to our guest from when I was 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? And I'm now 42, and the thumb is still, but he threw the prettiest ball in America. We were rivals. They moved us to the Northern Conference from the Quad East, and we from the Quad East. We going to the North,
Yeah.
and they quickly let us know, oh, we play real ball.
Oh yeah.
Real ball in the North, man. So without further ado, my brother from another mother, my rival from North Allegheny, Mr. Detroit Lion, Mr. Philadelphia Eagle, my brother Mike McMahon. What's up, brother?
Thanks, Fletch. I appreciate the intro. You're too kind. Way too kind. You guys beat us
Twice.
Yeah.
twice.
Hey, Mike, you can say it. We beat you twice. You're allowed to say it, brother.
Yeah, you did. You did. Once at your place, and then once down at Three Rivers.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna start the show off that early, my brother, talking trash, man. But I know you, man. So
Yeah, you know, I still remember certain plays of that game, and unfortunately, they're not good memories.
Man.
Hey, listen, man. Hey, Mike. First, I'll start by saying I appreciate you coming on. I know we got a lot of things going on in our lives and all that, man. But when I reached out, man, my brother, without hesitation, was like, "Let's go, man." So, you know, from me to you, especially to your family, man, I'm so appreciative of you guys, man. I used to, you know, we come from where we come from, and Mike's family, they treated me like a son. You know, he was my roommate in '97, and whenever Mike got a big care package, Fletch got a care package, man. It used to be amazing, man. So shout out to your mom, your dad, your entire family. Bro, your family's amazing, man. So they instill some things in you that it rubbed off on me. Late night, you being my roommate, talking to you, and just knowing how hard you worked. We're not gonna go into too many late night details, but we'll keep it PG, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I would have worked a little bit more at school then. And you know, it's funny because when I got drafted by Detroit, I still had one semester of school to finish, and you know, I was like, oh, I'll go back, and I hadn't. And I'll say a couple years ago, I had an opportunity to coach at West Virginia, so I was getting ready to drive down there and interview, and they called me and they said, when exactly did you graduate from Rutgers? And I was like, oh, you know, technically I didn't. So they said, well, that's going to be an issue. So I ended up contacting Rutgers, went through the NFL program, and what one semester was changed to, I had to go to a full year because the requirements had changed. But Fletch, for the first time in my life, 4 classes in the spring, 12 credits, 2 in the summer, and 4 in the fall. Straight A's and Dean's List. First time. You know, it shows you a different maturity level, because when I was at college, my focus was just football, and you know, school could take care of itself, and it didn't mean as much. But when I went back to finish, you know, basically the NFL was saying, look, we're going to pay for it, but you have to make sure you have a certain GPA.
Right.
And that meant something to me, you know, and there was certain classes, I did it all online, but you know, it was a difficult thing because, you know, they filmed you in your classes, you know, filmed you during the tests, scanned IDs and all this stuff, but you also had to do group projects. And I'm having to chase down some 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. No, we got this group project due, and they're like, no, it's fine, we got next week. And no, it was that week, and it was funny because I was the old guy chasing the kids down, trying to make sure everything got in on time, and it was a grind. And I'll tell you what, after that year, I needed a good break and get away from it.
Listen, man.
I'll tell you what, being out of school for that long, it was difficult.
Yeah,
but you also question yourself. You question yourself too, like, Man, I don't know how I did it, man. You know, I'm 18, 19, 20 years old playing college football and, you know, trying to get my education. It's not easy.
Yeah, I barely made it through then. And then, unfortunately, I was able to go back and finish those. So,
nah, listen, but shout out to Rutgers, because Rutgers was not an easy school, especially at the time when we there, and they don't even want us in the Big East playing in the Big East. So it, like, people behind the scenes have no idea, and I didn't know, because if I would have known all of it, there's no way in the world I would have went to Rutgers. There's no way I would have been like, Mike, we staying home, man.
Yeah, and then you go and you talk to some other guys. You play some all-star games. You run into some guys you played against, and you talk to them, and you hear how their university was for them and helping them. And Rutgers has completely evolved. They've got a great program there now. They're really helping their athletes, but it wasn't hard. It wasn't easy. It was a little bit of an uphill battle. And I remember our girls NCAA went to Final Four. And I remember the RU 100 professors wrote an article about why we shouldn't cheer for them, because they weren't student athletes. They were athlete students. And, and they don't understand that a lot of times, even though the academics is important, like the athletics is what's bringing the money in. And so, but yeah, I mean, I remember we were watching our playbacks, we'd watch the TV copy once we get back to the dorm. And we were playing West Virginia, and they flashed up the dude's major, and it said history of sport. And I said, why can't I have that major? The history of sport, that's right up my alley.
Listen, shout out to Chris Steele Edmonds, because I asked him that, man. What is that, man? What kind of degree is that? But no, listen, the bigger, I think a little bit bigger takeaway is when you go into these schools, and they're asking you to commit what is your body to this school to play a sport. You got to make sure that they are 100% in supporting you, because myself and Mike, we went to a school, like he said, there was a group called the RU 1000, and they did not want any parts of us playing in the Big East. They didn't want us, Rutgers being looked at as an athletic school, that kind of thing, which is the dumbest thing in the world, because we know sports would bring in the money, especially college football, especially. And shout out to everybody who went to. I seen Heathcliff checked in, man. Heathcliff Lenore, he checked in. Mike, you'll see the comments flash on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, so he said, shout out to Mike McMahon. It was a pleasure playing with him at RU, man. So you'll randomly see people who comment on the screen. But listen, when you go to these schools, just make sure, Gary Fauntleroy, G Font, what's up? Just make sure that you getting something back from the program. They supporting you. They 100% behind you. Because we're going to talk about, athletes and the name of the show is called When the Lights Go Out. And people get injured. We've all been injured on this screen. And I mean, we've had severe injuries. Like Mike, I remember this is levels to this. Mike went to go see Dr. James Andrew. And I don't know if y'all know who that is, but the rest of us, when you get an injury, you don't go see him, man. So no, Mike, and I'm saying it to be funny, to let everybody know, listen, you were the real deal, man. So people gonna protect that, man. So when you went down to see Dr. Andrew, I said, yeah, that's when I knew this brother's legit, because they sent him to the number one specialist in the world.
Yeah, well, it was also because I was like, I think I might have to redshirt this year, and they're like, no. Yeah, it's injuries can definitely derail a player's career. And Fletch, I remember you had your ACL done, and heck, you were my first completion against Boston in all of college football, and it was a corner route, cowboy, and
cowboy, man.
And I was supposed to do a 5 or a 7-step drop, and I did an 11-step drop and just chucked it. And you made a nice little jumping catch, but we had a little connection, from high school and then the All-Star game and then working out. But I remember how gifted you were as an athlete, and especially as a receiver, when you have a knee injury, the way you did, your ACL, I believe it was. And I think there was some more, but that's so hard to come back from. And then even when I went to the NFL, a good player, Jermaine Crowell, who was a great receiver. He blew his patellar tendon, and you've seen these receivers go down with knee injuries. And Oz Akeem, he went down with a hip injury, and they're never the same because receivers are using their legs constantly. And Oz Akeem was so quick off the line. Guys couldn't even press him because he was so quick, and his footwork was so amazing. But once he hurt his hip, it hampered him. And I know with receivers and their knees, Jermaine Crowell, Fletch, it's a challenge. And luckily, with the way the technology has progressed, guys are able to come back from these injuries a little better, a little stronger. The new surgery techniques, even the shoulder injuries, and unfortunately, my nephew. He decided to play football, and this was his second year, and there was a little bit of, COVID going on, so maybe this season might not play. And he had a great baseball season, was getting recruited by West Virginia, actually, after playing in a tournament down there after his freshman year. And I told him, I was like, look, you only played 1 year of football. You don't have that really strong taste for it yet. And if you're that good at baseball, stick with it.
Stick with it. All right.
So he thought about it, and he actually told my sister, I think I'm going to just go with baseball this fall. And she goes, what are you, a quitter? And unfortunately, he ended up playing. He ended up in his first JV game, he ended up going to make a tackle and popped his shoulder. I told her to get it looked at. They didn't. Eventually, at the end of the season, he did the same injury I had, except he was doing it making a tackle. I did it getting hit. And the funny thing is when he went to go see the doctor was like, yeah, we'll tighten it up. We'll get it right back in there. And I was like, no, do not do that. I said, go see Dr. James Bradley, who's with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's one of the best shoulder guys in the world, studied underneath Dr. Joe for the LA Dodgers.
Okay.
And we went down to see him. And the first thing he said was, are you a thrower? And he said, yeah, I play baseball. I play football. I'm a quarterback. He goes, we have to do it differently. We just can't go in there, tighten it up the way I did. Because I'll tell you what, this is the highest I can raise my shoulder to this day. My left is great, but my right, this is it. And I've got bone on bone. I've got no cartilage left. I pushed through it, played. Even after the doctor said, you shouldn't be not throwing another ball again, I continued playing in the UFL just because I love the game so much. And it is what it is. So injuries can definitely derail a guy, can definitely hamper his performance. And just luckily that with the technologies and the way surgeries have progressed, hopefully they can come back stronger. But the key is trying to make sure your body's recovering. Also when we grew up, we played and fought through injuries. Right. And I think that was kind of like our mindset, especially being from the Pittsburgh area. But now it's more about like, look, you have to take care of your body. The team will be okay without you. Just take care of yourself right now. And, that's the most important thing.
Listen, when the lights go out, Thursdays, 8 p.m., man, we got Mike McMahon in the stadium sharing unbelievable stories, giving us nuggets and gems. Hey, Mark, off the top of your head, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
How many injuries during football have you think you had? Just
Bruh. See, I play receiver too, so it's like, but I played I was special teams, man. So, man, we had the worst turf in the world, man, in college. So I learned how to play on sprained ankles, broken fingers.
We played on AstroTurf, not field turf.
Listen, we learned how to listen. We have concussion protocol. You go up and catch a pass, come down on your head. You seeing stars. You don't know your name. You don't know what color your jersey is. You take a series off. You back in there. You throwing up after the game. Next week, you play. So it's like you learned how to play with these injuries, man. To answer your question, Fletch, I could probably say you might have had 5 or 6 easily every other week, man. It was like I feel like a zombie playing football.
As Mike put his shoulder up, I swear to goodness, everything I love, my left shoulder started clicking as soon as he put it. Like, listen, I remember, and we're gonna rewind a little bit, Mike, take people on a little bit of a journey. But I remember going into our senior year in high school because somebody just put up, I think it was Eric Walker, our running back. He just put up 22-15. And yeah, so I remember
The Smurfs.
going to that year, and then they moving us to the north, and we not being real happy about it because we got to take long trips to Ambridge and schools like that. We were lucky enough that you guys came to us the first time, but take us into the mindset of what y'all thought about Woodland Hills at that time. And then who's your head coach at that time as well?
That was Jim Rankin.
Rankin.
He was a great coach.
Great coach, man. Great coach.
Him and Coach Novak were two of the best back then. And, we went down. I remember it was like a monsoon. It was crazy. And,
Yes.
The funny thing was, like, NFL Films came in that week, and I didn't want it to be a distraction. And I basically just pretended as if they weren't there because I did not want. I knew who we were coming into. I knew we were coming in to play a really strong team. You guys were a different team than any other we had played. You were the fastest team we've ever played, and aside from we played against North Hills, and we had LeVar Arrington, but that was one guy.
Right.
And even though he was fast and he was big and he was a beast, it was one guy. And y'all had like 3 or 4 that were just like, we couldn't stop. And I remember the running backs. I remember I wasn't playing defense. I'm on the sideline, and I can't see the running back, and they called Smurfs or something. And then I remember, Fletch, you caught a big pass down the sideline, the left-hand sideline, the Woodland Hill sideline. I can remember it to this day. But, yeah, I mean, you guys were talented and fast, and it was just a different type of game. The field was a different type of game. And we were definitely excited to play again the second time because, we're going to be on turf this time. But then we had like some injuries here and there, but we still felt that we weren't going to just lay down. And that game went down to the last play, and I remember number 20 knocked down a pass right over the middle of the field.
It's funny. Listen,
how many times you played that in the dorm room? That you're just lucky that wasn't my junior year, and I got to play you guys again, because it would have been, if I got another chance with all that talk.
Hey, that's why
motivation.
Hey, Mike, that's why ifs, man. Hey, Mike, we could.
So this past year, just real quick, I did a game, and I've been doing some dabbling in a little bit of Keller commentary broadcasting, and I've been working with Fox 22, The Point in Pittsburgh, Fox 53, 22, The Point, and we do a game on Friday Night Rivals, and we've done like the Pine Richlands, we've done the NAs, the Central Catholic, we've done them all. And this past year, we went to Woodland Hills to do the Gateway Woodland Hills game.
Right.
And my nephew plays for North Allegheny. So they had played Friday night. This game got moved to Saturday. The Woodland Hills Gateway at Woodland Hills. So we show up, and I bring my nephew with me, and his eyes were like huge. And he's a big boy. He's 6'2", 185 as a sophomore. And, when I was like 145. But he looked at the Gateway guys, and he was just looking at them as they were warming up. And he said, there is no way North Allegheny, our team, would beat Gateway. We would get smoked. And the funny thing is, when they came out of the tunnel, though, COVID, there was restricted attendance. Mm-hmm. But the noise that was so loud in that arena, it felt like I was at a college football game. No lie. My nephew was like, this place is shaking, and it's not even full. And then all of a sudden, Gateway comes out, and they come out sprinting to midfield. Woodland Hills comes out sprinting to midfield. The referees are I'm like, this looks like Florida State, Miami. Like, I've never seen a game like this before. And Gateway had that Derek Dickerson, who's going to LSU, safety, running back. And that game went back and forth all the way down to the wire. Gateway ended up pulling it out at the end. But my nephew even said, I don't think we could beat Woodland Hills either. He's like, Gateway's bigger, but Woodland Hills, that's the fastest team I've ever seen. And it just continues. There's so much speed. There's so much great football in that area. And I know Gateway and Woodland, I didn't know you guys were quite rivals. I didn't know you guys were that close. And it was intense. And it was really like, again, I wish it wasn't COVID because we had to restrict it because it would have been packed and it would have been going nuts. I mean, the fans were so loud. You could hear them. They were talking trash nonstop. And it was a great game. And Woodland Hills almost pulled it out. And the only thing I saw was, Gateway had a new coach. Woodland Hills, I'm not sure who the coach was just at that time. But, there was a little bit of undiscipline because, they were fighting and stuff. And they got some key penalties against them. But they were so fast, and they were right there to beat Gateway with this Derek Dickerson, who was a beast. But I'll tell you what, it was the most you guys got the turf now. I wish you guys would have had the turf when we played. It was a swamp when we played, but I mean, it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever been to in a high school football. I can honestly say that, calling all the games, Pine Richland, all those big games, nothing has been like that since we played. I haven't seen a high school game been like that since we played.
Listen, shout out to everybody in the community who makes that place what it really is, man. Because like back when
there's a sense of pride you can tell for sure when they step on that field, and they weren't going to let Gateway come out and push them around no matter how big they were.
Man.
Woody High came out.
That used to be a home field advantage for us. That messed up field, that nasty mud, where from 20 to 20 it's all mud. I mean, it's awful looking. Listen, but we gonna talk about Woody High. We're gonna talk about NA and all that, man. But listen, you had some studs on your team.
Tolhurst and Lewis.
Ryan Tolhurst and Derek Brinkley, arguably the two fastest people I've played against, man. Listen, we had a now during the Three Rivers game, our safety was out.
Okay.
Shout out to Durrell. We're not gonna go into all of the history, but shout out to DR. I love him to this day, but he didn't play. He was very sick, and he was our starting safety. So I had to move back to safety, and we brought one of our corners in. Shout out to Raymar Hester because he came in and played big. But y'all ran some kind of play, and the thing about you, Mike, is you were so good with the ball at that time. Like, if you got caught in the backfield, you were in trouble. And there's two plays. One y'all made that you capitalized on, and the other, Brandon Payne got a sack or a tackle in the backfield because everybody's looking in the backfield, and you do that, and you hit Ryan Tolhurst up y'all sideline. And I almost got there, but I remember like how fast this kid. I'm like, yo, no other receiver would have I would have made the interception, but the way you threw it and how fast he was, your team was amazing, bro. Like, your front line was well coached. Y'all had amazing athletes. Y'all were the offensive plays that y'all called way above and beyond high school at the time.
I agree.
Way and they're gonna say Chan Gailey would come in there and help y'all out. We don't know if it's true.
He had a little help. I mean, we
know what I'm saying, Mike? Chan Gailey, Mike.
But he helped install the no huddle offense and added a few drop back. But we were basically a Delaware wing T team. Coach Rankin, that's what he was. Triple option, hide the football. And the reason why I was that good was because I took it my sophomore and my junior year, just nonstop in my ear. I mean, some of my buddies to this day from the upperclassmen, they can recall my junior year. We're having practice in the way in the field while a sophomore game was going on, and Coach Rankin stopped practice and went off on me, hit my head, get in this stance, do this, and literally embarrassed me. The entire game stopped, and they're staring down, looking at me. But that was the way Coach Rankin taught. And if you took it personal, I could see how a lot of kids could just turn in words and you kind of get upset. But, fortunately for me, my sister was dating a guy that played football a couple years ahead of me. And he said, listen, if he's not yelling at you,
He don't care about
you're in trouble, and he don't care.
Right.
If he's yelling at you, that means he expects more from you and is trying to get the best out of you. And Coach Rankin, it was always about, hard work, hide the ball, perfection. You had to be perfect. And, that's kind of what helped me as far as ball handling. And, it's something so little. And, depending on which offense you run in, you see guys that get to the higher levels and they kind of hand it off and turn around. No, I couldn't hand it off and turn around. I had to hand it off, carry out my fake, and sprint 15 yards before I could even look. So it was ingrained into me, and very fortunate for me that I had a coach that pushed me where I carried that on into college and even into the NFL. And like you said, I'm
going to hold that note right there, because I remember Terry say, "You're going to have the best ball fakes in America, Michael."
Yeah. And then I had Mariucci doing the same thing, wipe the spit, and play the guitar. But again, I was very fortunate to have a good coach that cared about me, that pushed me. I was very fortunate to have a couple of really good athletes on my team. Ryan Tolhurst, he was
amazing.
He ran in state. I think he was a 200 or a 400 guy, and he was extremely fast. Derek was the hurdle guy. Derek Brinkley was the hurdle guy, and he won some states. And Tolhurst went on the Richmond, eventually ended up going and was on the practice team with the Carolina Panthers for a year. And then Derek went to IUP. And I was just very fortunate that I had two, Derek was a tall receiver. Tolhurst was extremely fast. Also had Chan Gailey, his son, was able to come in and help. And I was just
I remember him, Mike. I remember him. I ran a little reverse with him, and I got him good too. First play of the second half, fumble!
Hey, but he got us back because Gailey was a junior, if I'm not mistaken, right? Your senior.
Yeah.
We played them at NA because I was a sophomore when you and Delrico were seniors.
Okay.
And we went out to NA next year, bruh. Fletch, we was talking about it earlier. And they beat the hell out of us, bruh. And Chan Gailey, son, listen, I think Brandon had negative 20 yards.
Really? He wasn't the fastest kid, but he had some great hands. And the thing about him was he was extremely intelligent football. His football IQ was way up there. I mean, some of my receivers, they would just run the line and you just put it on them. But Andrew Gailey, he just seemed like if there was a little soft spot, he would just settle down in it, and he wasn't going to go run and get his head taken off by the safety. He was smart, and he knew where the quarterback wanted to put that football.
Listen. We got a question for you, Mike. Somebody puts up a question. They want to know, because back in high school, everybody got to see LeVar do the LeVar leap when he was in college, but actually it started against you guys in high school. What was your thoughts about that? Like, because we know when you watching Fetco, we all clamor around the TV for the Fetco zone, and then we like, oh my God.
So we were playing against them, and we were trying to run the clock out, and so they knew we were handing the ball off. They knew it, and so sure enough, we had our snap count was very simple. I don't know if you guys have picked up on it. If it was a pass, it was even or odd set, and that was it. And if it was a run, it was red, set, go. And it was just a rhythm, okay? And sure enough, LeVar picked up on it, and he just was able to time up the jump. I remember turning around, 187, cross block to hand the ball off. And as I was turning around, I saw him, as I was turning, I caught him out of the corner of my eye. And I just took the ball and tucked it and ate it. And I just said, I'm not going to fumble it. I'm not going to allow him to cause a fumble in our own territory. We took the 1-2 yard loss, and we punted it and said, hey, see if you guys can score. And they couldn't.
Now, listen,
you guys beat us twice, but we beat them twice.
Yes, and that's what helped us. Is because you guys beat them, because I mean we couldn't do nothing with LeVar. All the talent and speed. My sophomore year, we got him pretty good. We got him really good. But after that, listen, he seen Woodland Hills on the schedule and was like, I'm getting a scholarship on Woodland Hills dime.
Yeah, he was in the paper doing over, was it DR?
It was over Durrell. Yep.
And they put Superman in the paper.
Yeah, there's a so the way we were able to beat LeVar, and this is Jim Rankin's idea, and this was in practice. Because in practice now, they don't hit as much. I mean, we were full on tackling, taking the scout team to the ground.
Right.
But when we did defense against LeVar that week, and we should have did it against you guys because you guys were so quick, but LeVar was known for breaking tackles and cutting back and reversing the field. So they would run the play, and he would run to the left or to the right. And as soon as he got tackled, they taught our defense to stay home and pursue that way. But you had to stay home because as soon as that guy got tackled, there was another guy. So if they had like an I formation with a fullback and a tailback, they put another guy that just stood there. So once he would, this guy stood here, and they had an R on his chest for rabbit. Rankin would blow the whistle and yell, "Rabbit!" And then all of a sudden, this guy could take off and go anywhere he wanted on the field, and the team had to get up from tackling this guy and run over and tackle him. And that was all week long. And sure enough, LeVar was like, "How'd y'all stop us?" And I was like, "That's what we did." And he was like, "Goodness gracious!" And it worked. And the funny thing is 2 years ago, I helped coach my nephew's 6th grade Tiger Pride football team, and Coach Rankin comes out and helps volunteer coach as well. So we're volunteering coaching. We had the best coaching staff in youth football. And sure, we had James Harrison's son on our team, Lincoln Hoke, Chris Hoke's son on our team, my nephew, and sure enough, we were playing a running back that was a big kid. He was fast, and Rankin broke out the rabbit technique for youth football. And I swear I felt so bad for the other running back because he was going to get it this game. There was no way he was running. And he's a great coach, Mike, and really good.
Wow. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Mark's back in youth coaching, man. We need the rabbit we need the rabbit. We need the rabbit back at the Wolverine, man.
Hey, anyone that does a cutback on your team and your team's not staying home, work that rabbit drill. Have one guy run to the right. Have this guy stay still. And then once he's tackled, then blow the whistle. Because now sometimes this corner has to be the guy that has to corral him or at least corner him up.
Right. One-on-one.
Hey, look, listen. That's why I'm thinking back. Shout out to Eric Walker, man, because he in that championship game, Mike, he was running downhill.
I know.
So if he wasn't doing a lot of shifting and all that, running straight downhill, man. But shout out to Jim Rankin, man, because that's real coaching, man. That's real coaching. And a lot of times, as we get older in life, and we understand it differently, it's when you become a grown man, coaching is different than when you were 12. I have an input now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not just going to send me on this retarded, dumb mission with not giving me a reason why and making me understand why. Like, I'm not 12 no more. I'm not running through this brick wall just because you said so. No, you got to make this thing.
And I'll tell you what, kids are smarter these days, too, because they want to know the why. And I'll be the first to when I played in the NFL, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone, but my position coach at that level was not the best. They did not, and they just said, do this. And why? Well, because that's the way they did it with the 49ers. That's the way the West Coast offense does it. And so how I coach is how I want to be coached. I'm extremely positive. I do not yell at the kids. If the kid's not getting it, I'm not doing a good enough job of relaying the message.
Thank you. Say that again, Mike, one more time.
If the kid does not understand what I'm trying to get him to do, it's my fault because I'm not relaying it. I have to figure out a different way that he can comprehend exactly what I'm telling him.
Listen, man, we need to highlight that, man, because that's big, man.
Because
that's big.
Because with that comes a level of responsibility. Not I'm just going to no. It's up to you. You have the knowledge now. It's up to you to disseminate it to the child the way that they can receive it and take it, and then sprout something from it. Not just Oh, I was taught this way. You gonna do it this? No.
Well, so I had my nephew and another guy. His son was the quarterback. He played quarterback ahead of me, about 5 years ahead of me. Went to Notre Dame and played football. Paul Fela. So he coached the offense. He was the offense coordinator and quarterback's coach. But he would be like, "Hey, I need a new pass play this week." And heck, we had more pass plays in our youth football league than our high school did. But my nephew was a receiver, and I was a receivers coach, and I was working with the kids, and I worked every single one the same way. But my nephew always wanted to know why, and we would watch football every Sunday because he wants to do fantasy football, which I never did when I played, and I wish I would have known about it because, man, that thing is so much more fun when you know it. But when he first started, his first week of practice, I was like, he's a really good athlete at basketball and baseball. I'm like, I don't know if football is for him. But as he started to progress and as he started getting confidence, he started to evolve. And he was sharing time with another kid. And I was like, look, I'm not playing favorites. I'm splitting time and it'll sort itself out. And when Coach Faley decides, you got to do it the right way. If you make a mistake and you get pulled, that's on you. So you just got to make sure you study your plays and you constantly know everything. I'm not going to sit there and be your uncle. I'm not going to play favorites. Wow. And he studied. He always asked why. And I'll tell you what, man, they started trying to look at my Instagram. You'll see it. They started trying to double team him, triple team him. They tried double team pressing him. And I was like, all right, just a little jab to the right, get him the wide and take 2 steps out. Then go back in, push up, nod in, and break out. And this kid went flying to the goalpost and he broke out wide open. My nephew evolved and he loved the game. And it was always, every time I coach someone, like, this is why you're going to do this. This is what we're trying to do. We want to do this. We're trying to get the defense to do this. And I think when you explain it to kids and to players as what you're trying to do, as not just what you're supposed to do, like, hey, just do this. No, like, if he understands why he's supposed to do that, what his objective is, then he can do it better. If he just thinks, oh, I'm supposed to run a go route, like, and I'm not going to get the ball, well, yeah, no, we need you to clear this guy out. We need you to clear this guy out. And I know you're tired, but when it's your turn to get the ball and he's tired, are you going to want him to like lay low too? No, you gotta push. And sure enough, it was a great experience. And I'll tell you what, I fought it. I did not want to do it. They were like, you got to do it. Come on, your nephew's doing this. And they begged me. And I was like, fine. And I did it. And I'll tell you what, it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever was a part of as far as coaching. I coached at D2 Pace 1 year. I coached at a high school level 1 year. And I coached at the youth league. And I'll tell you what, it was so gratifying, especially at the end of the year. The championship game, we were losing, went all the way down, onside kick and all this stuff. And Rankin, to this day, he was on the field. He was crying. He had tears in his eyes when these kids won with the last minute of the game. And he said, I've never been a part of a more exciting football game in my entire life than that championship game. I mean, Jay, not my proudest moment. My nephew's the kicker. We're going for the onside. We have to get this, okay? Because we didn't get the 2-point conversion. And I tell my nephew, kick it, angle it towards me. I'm going to line up. You kick the ball right towards me on the onside kick. And sure enough, not my proudest moment. There was a kid there, and I said, kick it to me. The kid turned around, and I said, kick it to number 35. He's scared. And the kid turned around and looked at me and started shaking. And then sure enough, James Harrison comes over and says, yeah, kick it to 35. He's scared. James and I were yelling, and I felt so bad for this kid. And they kicked it right to him. And sure enough, Lincoln Hoke and James Harrison Jr., they laid the wood on him, and we ended up getting the football. But again, it's something that the kids were so excited. It's just you don't understand how gratifying it is to see these kids progress when you see that finally click. And I can understand why some guys really, truly love the coaching profession. Oh, man. And that's where it's at. I mean, obviously, if you're coaching at the high level and you're getting paid the big bucks, but I still think even at the NFL level, there are a lot of coaches that should not and do not belong there because they don't understand how to properly translate the information to these players. And let me tell you something, NFL rookies in the first, second, third years, these guys are still kids. They're still kids, and there's still a lot to be learned.
Listen.
Coaching is the best.
Every Thursday, 8 p.m. when the lights go out, we got my brother Mike McMahon, former Detroit Lion, former Rutgers Scarlet Knight, in the building, dropping gems on us. If you haven't heard, we already discussed having we discussed NA versus Willing Hills from the past. So if you wasn't there, you didn't see it, go back to YouTube, rewind, check it out. We got my brother Mike in the building, dropping gems. Listen, if you are in the position of coaching young people, man, listen, take advantage of it. Treat it like it means something, because it really is. You're their first introduction into this sport.
Right.
When we finish, Mike, I'm gonna make sure that you and Mark exchange information, because he's back with the young people at Willing Hills, helping the program, trying to, just restore some of that legacy that we had, that we built, because it was important. It meant everything to our community, and it brought a lot of us together. And it's really not the same, but it can be. And people who really care about it, people who are invested in it, we coming back around to show that we interested in Woody High Ball, that we love it, that it means something. Because like you said, I mean, we had talent upon talent upon talent upon talent coming out of this school district. And when you get to a certain age, like you said, there's a lot of coaches in the NFL you don't think who shouldn't be there. There's a lot of coaches. And I'm not going to say his name, but when I got to college, when I got to Rutgers, after leaving Rutgers, there's no way my receivers coach should have been coaching college football. There's no way in this world. Listen, I'm a grown man. If it gets back to him, I ain't going to say he wasn't a good man, but there would be practices that I didn't catch the ball as a receiver. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, he used to be more worried, because our slogan, look good, feel good, play good. He was more worried that, I'm trying to freak my socks and freak my jersey, because this Rutgers uniform is awful looking, and I'm trying to make it look like something for my people back home in Pittsburgh, so they could be like, oh, Fletch looks sweet on TV. You know what I'm saying? But this uniform,
I swear, I never had a jersey so big in my life.
Terrible jerseys, Mike. Like, I remember, Mike, sometimes they got to pull your whole jersey back over your shoulder pad. Like, we went through it, man. And so I'm so proud.
I get what you're saying.
Yes, I'm so proud to see Rutgers where it's at right now. But some of these coaches do not belong. And I understand why he was brought in, because he had a prestigious program in Jersey. And Coach Shea has to hire who he has to hire to recruit. I get that. But no, he didn't help me become better. I wasted 3 years. I was the same receiver in 2000 as I was in 97.
Yeah, and there's, I've talked to different people, and a lot of guys will say, the more positions you can coach, the better off you can be. And I understand that, but at the same time, like, when a guy's never played that position or been in the field on that position and doesn't understand, and he just tell me something that he heard from another coach or read out of a book, I'm like, look, no.
Nope.
I remember one time someone was like, oh, we're going to have you coach tight ends. And I was like, look, I can help you, as far as a tight end. I can help you as far as running routes, getting some releases, and telling you what he wants from you. But I can't tell you how to block. Like, it's just not going to work. And if you want me to do that at that level, at a college level, these kids are going to know, like, this guy's never blocked someone in his life. I mean, it's as far as his technique. And so there's a little bit of that. But I think when you look at coaching, and you even going back to the youth, and you see guys coaching young players, and you see some of these things on Twitter sometimes or YouTube, and they have these kids doing these drills, like running into each other, and they're just for the big hits and stuff. Look, teach them the proper technique. And when I say don't just because you have a kid bigger than another kid and have someone run them over, or size them up along the same size.
Right.
Have them go against it. Don't have a guy going against a weaker kid. Have them the experience. If a guy's been for 3 years, go with another 3 years guy. 1 year guy, go with a 1 year guy. But you had to do that, and you had to. And the thing is if you're coaching kids, you have to do it like it's your own child. Like, would you want someone coaching your child that way? And if you can't say no, I don't want that, well, then you're coaching that kid the wrong way. So coach it as if it's your own child. Coach it as if that's your own child, his own health. And you're trying to teach him the proper technique to tackle so he doesn't get injured, so he doesn't get a stinger. You know how many times, kid, I almost quit football in 9th grade because of the stingers, because the coach had me doing these stupid drills. And the pads it's just, look, a lot of coaches need to look at themselves and say, am I doing this the proper way, or am I just doing this because I just want to get some kids, get some big hits, and I want my kid to look good, but I don't care about the rest of the kids on the team. Care about the rest of the kids if they're your own, and teach them the proper technique. That's the main thing.
Listen,
you have to teach them to protect themselves. And it's a dangerous game, and you got to teach them the proper way.
A lot of these coaches need help, man. You're not only dealing with that, but a lot of these guys actually think these kids are like playing Madden. Like you actually go out here, and a lot of these coaches actually think they're playing Madden. These babies' lives mean so much more, man.
And here's the other thing. You know, I was talking to a guy recently, and so it actually pertains to coaching as well. You know, you talked about injuries, Fletch, and you know, you look at what Tom Brady's done, and you look at how he's able to be playing at his age, at this level. And granted, you know, the quarterbacks are a little bit protected more now. You know, now it's all about points, and fantasy football protect the quarterback. Hey, when I played in the NFL, it wasn't about points. It was about, oh, he got jacked up. That segment on ESPN, like big hits. But, you know, much respect to what Tom Brady's done, how he treats his body, his diets, how he trains, how he worries about flexibility, not so much strength, functional strength for his position. But, you know, I was talking to someone, and Tom Brady's not the biggest, he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest. What makes him so great? And to me, one, it's his competitiveness, and two, it's he has an incredible ability to understand that in football, especially at the college level and at the NFL, you've got guys, young men coming together from all different walks of life. And what my childhood was like would be different from your childhood, what my neighborhood, what school I went to. Everyone comes from everything different. And I might not understand certain things that you went through, and you're not going to understand certain things I went to. But one thing he's done is he understands people. He understands his teammates. He builds them up. And you look at a perfect decay, you know, and this is I'm not trying to take a shot, you know, because, you know, the whole Ben Roethlisberger with Antonio Brown. Look, Antonio Brown, you know, hey, Fletch, you know it, receivers are divas a little bit. You weren't so much, but hey, I played with T.O., and there was T.O., and then there was Terrell Owens, and Terrell was a great teammate. But, you know, Chad Johnson, they like that spotlight. And I used to throw those guys down in Miami all the time. And you have to understand how they are. And you can't call them out in the media the way Ben did with Antonio. You have to understand that you might be able to do that with one guy, but you can't do that with Antonio. You might be able to do that with another guy. You can't do that with T.O. Pull him off to the side. Hey, look, I'm going to come back to you the next time. I'm going to need you to run that route a little flatter. And I think, you know, a lot of people, you know, Antonio kind of went down a path that was a little distracted out, and it made him look worse, and it made Ben look not so as the bad person. But after all that stuff that happened, Tom Brady this past year, when they brought Antonio Brown into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they were already winning, and he had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Gronk, he invites Antonio Brown into his house to live with him. And so it shows that he cares about his teammates. He cares about his individuals. And as a coach, when you're coaching with different kids, you don't understand what kids are going through at home. And you don't understand what kids are going through at school, whether they're going to the same school district or not. Hey, this kid could have went to school today and had a bad grade. Maybe he got bullied a little bit. Maybe his parents were a little hard on him. You don't know how parents raise different kids. So you have to be a little bit more sensitive to each individual and try to have a better understanding of where they come from. And you can't coach everyone the exact same way. You have to have the same rules for everyone. Like, hey, look, this is the rules. If you break them, there's consequences. But you have to be able to figure out what buttons to push to get that kid to understand what you're trying to do, also push himself to the next level. And I think that's key. Tom Brady is who he is. He's got so many championships because he's able to bring that locker room together. He's able to lead that team. He did what Michael Jordan did on basketball. He took a bunch of guys and raised their ability to play above than what they are. And I think a good coach can do that with his players as well, as long as he understands that there's other issues going on in a player's life, a child's life, a kid's life, a college kid's life. And I don't think coaches go enough out of the way to understand that.
Every Thursday, 8 p.m. when the lights go out, man, nuggets being dropped on you from my brother Mike McMahon. It's been a very interesting hour. It's been very enlightening. We definitely touched on some topics. The reason for the topic of talking about injuries is because, a lot of us are watching basketball and we're just seeing stars just fall. Last night or 2 nights ago, it was Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving. We watched Anthony Davis. We watching Joel Embiid. The reason why I was bringing it up was just simply because if you have a Lamborghini, you can't go fill a Lamborghini up with 89, 90, 92. I don't know if you ever been in one out there, but you can't do it. So let's treat your body like a Lamborghini, man, so that when you need to hit that throttle and jump from first to fourth gear, your body can do it with
100%.
no issues. Without any issues. I mean, so if you still out there, like, listen, I'm gonna give a quick comparison. We had Skip Fuller and Mike Johansson as strength and conditioning when we first got to Rutgers, and then after Coach Shea was released, we brought in Coach Shiano, and then we had Jay Butler and Mike. It was complete night and day, Mike. I mean, it was complete. The way we ate, the way we trained, the way they made us sleep. I mean, if you go in the training table, it was completely different when Shiano came into. And I'm like, from the food being different, one of the first conversations Jay Butler had with us, he says, we all in the weight room and we just had our first workout with him. He done murdered us. We did. We done. People want to quit. People want to turn in their scholarship. He said, this team is filled with goo. You just filled with a whole bunch of goo. And he laid out all of this fake fat stuff he had. And so we seen how fat we were as a team. So when we were lucky enough to stay in some games and be in the fourth quarter, we didn't have nothing left. There was nothing extra we could pull out the tank. There was no reserves. There was no nitro button. So all these young athletes who are out here, man, give yourself an opportunity, man. Give yourself a chance. Take care of your body. Treat it like the most expensive car that you ever dreamed about. I mean, you will wash this car all the time. You'll vacuum this car. You'll make it look so nice and smelling so good. Do your body the same way. I'm here firsthand. If I could have ate differently, if I could have, I mean, because I trained, we worked, Mike. There was no doubt about it.
You know how many times I sit there and said, if I could just go back to my senior year of high school and just start from there as far as diet, as far as working out, as far as everything. I mean, how many different things I would do. And I was like, you know what? That's the way life goes. So the only thing I can do is try to relay that message on to my nephews, to my nieces, to whoever wants to listen. And honestly, Well, look, we had people come and talk to us. You know, they tried to tell us, "Oh, I'll tell you what, guys, it's gonna be over
They
shortly."
brought Mark Charlie in, Mike. They brought Mark Charlie. For everybody who's out there, Mark Charlie was the guru who changed Northwestern from 0-11 to winning the Big Ten championship. But they had real football players. He had us sitting in the office staring at your teammate like this. I'm not gonna try. I'm just gonna do it. I said when he brought him in here, I said we're never gonna win another football game, man.
Here's the thing. Again, if you're going to try to relay all the knowledge that you've learned onto a younger human being, whether it be a boy, a girl in their sport, try to really get through to them. Try to understand how you can get through to them. What analogy can you use so that they can understand? Like, hey, I understand the car analogy. Some kids don't. They like video games. So, you know, you got to do it. Hey, when I was coaching, I coached 1 year at Fox Chapel, Fletch. They made the playoffs the first time in 20 years since we were in high school. My senior year was the last year. So, but the funny thing is, I had a game plan, and I went into the film room and I said, guys, all you have to do is what I'm telling you to do. Let me tell you something. You guys all play Madden, right? And they're like, yeah. And I go, well, if you pick the play and you want your receiver to run a post and he runs a corner and your guy it gets picked off, you're gonna be like, this game's stupid. I don't want to play this. I'm calling a post and he's not running it. That's how I feel. You guys aren't running the plays. And they actually got that. And they laughed at it. And it was funny. They actually started coming along and, you know, they won some games and we got in the playoffs. So, but do what you need to do to understand what gets through to that kid, and then relay all that information that you learned that we all wish we could go back and change. Go back to this day. I wish I could go back here and start over with all this knowledge and give it to the kids. That's the best way to do it.
When the lights go out every Thursday, 8 p.m. Mark, listen, before we wrap it up, man, give us some closing words, my brother.
Hey,
what you feeling, man? We got one of our arch rivals in the building, man. Dropping gems on us, man.
I was a youngster watching y'all guys ball, man. So you know, I played against. I was good friends with Brian Ironman, the other North legend. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
he was a little younger than me. Yep.
Yeah, I was good friends with Brian, man. But the only advice I would give, since we're on the topic, as far as to the younger people's, man, like, you know, you have to prepare. Preparation is everything, man. You know, you going into football, you playing basketball, baseball. It's all about preparation, whether it's in the classrooms, you know, your athletics. You have to prepare. Get your rest. Don't party all the time. Train often. Stretch. Eat right. And learn and study your craft, man. That's the main thing. You only got 3-4 years, if that. That's a blessing. Some only get 2, but take it serious, man. And you know. Listen to what we say on Thursday nights at 8, man. You got Mike McMahon here. He dropping.
Hey, Mike, listen, man. I want you to give some closing words, man. But before you do that, man, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I love you, bro. That'll never change, man.
Likewise.
You were one of the big reasons why I went to Rutgers, man. I never forget talking to you after Three Rivers, and you was like, you might as well come on up there. So, you know, you helped with that decision, man, and I'm forever grateful. I'm forever thankful. I'm so happy. I know your family. My mom, she did check in. She posted up. She asked how was your parents. So let's see real quick before we. Oh, here we go. Queen Lee, Mama Joe said, "Tell Mike, your mom, and dad, I said hello, Miss Fletcher."
I will. Hello, Mrs. Fletcher.
Yeah, so you know she still loves you guys, man. My mom and your mom became really good friends. So like I said, we shared a story before we got on, and before we go, I had Rutgers University in the palm of my hands at one point. Mike was on crutches, and he had a champagne color, like, was it a Tacoma?
A gold Toyota Tacoma.
Yeah. So we had to drive back from Rutgers, Pittsburgh, and it's snowing, it's cold out, it's the winter time. And Fletch fell asleep in the tunnel driving.
And it just went up on the side, and I was like, woke up. I was like,
wait, I'm all up in it, Mark. I'm in the tunnel.
We're on the wall.
Put up on the wall.
Mark, it's over, Mark. It's over. So I'm thankful that I'm here for a bigger reason, because I could have took the whole Rutgers University down, man. But my brother, I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on.
Man, listen, drop. You closing any closing statements, closing remarks you want to give, man, especially the young people out there, man.
All right. Well, first of all, if I have to hear about this Woodland Hills NA game, next time you come back to Pittsburgh, you better, hey, I'll put the pads on one last time. We'll get the guys together. One of my buddies I ran into in high school, he was like, man, we should have one more game, like everyone suit up, tackle football. And I was like, man, you're nuts.
You crazy as hell if Fletch is getting tackled.
I'm playing.
But no, it's like what you guys are talking about. When the lights go out, you never know when that time is coming. So when you go out and you play a sport, play as if it's your last day. You never know, and you don't want to look back and be like, man, I wish I would have done this. Just give it your all the time. Be first in everything. Grind. Push hard. Always be the first to every drill. Try to win every drill. Be competitive, and that will carry over. Be competitive in every single thing you do. I hate losing at everything. I mean, so be competitive at everything you do, and that will carry over to all your sports.
If
and like you guys said, take care of your body, eat right, train right, stretch. I wish I stretched more. I wish I was more flexible.
You ain't never lied, Mike.
So listen,
Mike,
we thank you. I thought before we go, I thought I was gonna be a WPIAL legend, man. It was fourth and whatever that play was. We on the goal line, and I'm the safety, and I just read your eyes the whole. But little do you know, the third down play before, you rolled left, and you tried to wing it in there. Somebody tipped it. If they didn't tip it, Mike, we wouldn't have made it to fourth down, because you would have hit me right in my number. So the next play, Mike, no lie, you hit me in my chest, and all I seen was green, Mike. I thought I was about to be a hero.
But you weren't used to that heat yet.
Say it again?
You couldn't catch it. You weren't used to that heat yet.
Listen, hey, where's my D at, man, when you need him, man? He said I wasn't ready.
And let me tell you something. When I went to Rutgers, or when I went to Detroit, and I was at Rutgers, they're like, just wing it, boom, give it everything. I went to Detroit, and I threw my first ball to Johnny Morton, and he was like, whoa. Yeah. And it took a while, but who got to me was Ty Detmer. Now, that was, to me, he was the backup, but to me, I learned more from Ty than I did from any individual at playing the quarterback position. Ty was a Heisman Trophy, NCAA all-record holder. And what Ty said to me was, look, Chad Pennington, he had like the highest completion percentage. And I'm sitting here watching him, and he's throwing lollipops out in the field. I'm like, why aren't we picking it? And he's just throwing it to where the receiver's going to be. And when a guy's running across the field, and you throw a lollipop and it's behind him or something, he can adjust and make that catch. But if you throw a bullet, it's going to turn, he's going to deflect it, and it's going to be tipped and intercepted, okay? So Ty said to me, look, when you throw every ball, sometimes you might have to put some heat on it. But if you don't, pretend like you are handing the ball off to your running back, but you're doing it to your receiver 15 yards downfield. Make it a handoff. Make it the easiest catch as possible. So, Fletch, once that started happening, I started throwing it easier. Guys were catching the ball.
I needed you to learn that thing 8 years before that.
It got to the point when we be doing slant routes. Guys were trying to get out of line with other guys because they would want to come to me, because I would throw the slant route like a nice little bubble and let them run just soft into it. And when I threw it at Rutgers,
you didn't have nothing but that 99.
Andy
Holland. Yeah, you got a lot of
with the webbing down his fingers.
Look at my thumb.
Fletch, I'm sorry, man. Fletch, no one told me. Hey, I
Since
wasn't taught.
1998, man. I done had a broken thumb since 98 because of Mike, man. But listen.
Again, if I was taught earlier, it would have been a lot better for both of us.
If you know, then you know. That's why you're teaching the young people. But listen, shout out to everybody who's commented, who's posted. We appreciate you, man. This has been a special show for me, man. I've been able to bring my brother on. I got my brother Mark here. And we were able to share some great stories. Mike, I love you, man. We're gonna make sure we stay in touch.
Likewise, yep. Anytime.
I appreciate you so much. Everybody out there, man, every Thursday when the lights go out. Oh, look who checked in real quick, right there. Look who is popped in real quick. Look who said something. Shout out to you fellas. Madi, what's up, my brother? I got the guy you beat twice in high school, brother, on the show. He said he mad he missed it, Mo, but you know, I sent you the link, Mo. If you could get on in 30 seconds, brother, we still here. I sent you the link. But listen, Mike, again, man, I thank you. There's so many people out here who, got to listen to you, hear from you, get the perspective of NA a little bit back when we played, because that was so big for Woodland Hills. That was our first championship. So that meant everything to us. To this day, it still means a lot, even though we've had a lot of success since then. Vaughn Calhoun, what's up, Vaughn? Appreciate you checking in. We have a lot of success since then, but nothing like your first, man. Mm-hmm. Nothing like your first, because you put so much into it. So shout out to you. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. If you need us for anything, when the lights go out, it's always be here for you, brothers. If you got things going on in the community with the kids, let us know, man, because we'll support, man. We built this bridge across the world, man. We had Reggie Stevens on the first show. So if you didn't see it, man, go check out the show with Reggie Stevens, man. It's just been a blessing. This is show number 11, Mike, and we're just trying to bring some info to people that you never know when your lights go out, man, because you don't dictate all of that, man. So, you could have a 12-year career, you could have a 2-year career, or you could have a 32nd-year career. But a lot of the stuff that we've talked about translates into life. And in one of my classes we talked about a few weeks ago, we talked about transferable skills. And a lot of things you learn from football, you're able to transfer into
100%
into your regular life. We talk about, being good teammates, working with others, having conflict resolutions, learning how to lose, learning how to win. All of that is a part of it, and I learned that from football. So I'm very thankful. And once again, when the lights go out every Thursday, 8 p.m., Mike McMahon on a check-in was in the stadium. I don't know if everybody could see Mike, but behind the banner is that's Rutgers Stadium
I see it
now. So I took you back to, Piscataway for an hour. But again,
tell you what, that stadium looks amazing now. Yeah, we were supposed to get those facilities.
We wore grays. This was the helmet.
We looked like we were in prison with the grays.
I don't even know who made this helmet, man. But
ear helmets.
I'm gonna get a concussion just looking at that.
Yeah, real talk. I know I had 10 of them in that thing, man. I know those helmets come with smelling salts, man. Little smelling salt bag. But no, listen, everybody out there, man, check the replay on YouTube. Make results, not excuses. Marcus Burkley Senior's Facebook page, Delrico Fletcher Facebook, Infinite Minded Body and Chocolate Crown Podcast. Everybody, every Thursday, we love you. And just because, we just previewed this last week, we're going to do it again this week and give everybody a little taste of the intro before we go. But I want to thank everybody. Shout out to Audio Heroin Music for the production. We love y'all. See y'all next Thursday, 8 p.m. Mike, hold on for 1 second, brother.
When the lights go out, are you ready? keep it steady. I plan for the worst, this is a gift and a curse. My life is so bright like Sunday in church. On the field of the court,
I was giving them work. Of course, losing it hurts, but what is it really worth?
When your lights go, you better take from the game like lipo. So when they cut the lights out, you can still blow. On your mark, when you're ready, get set, go. Now you know.
When your lights go out, are you ready?
Grab the wheel, keep it steady. When your lights go out, are you ready? Grab the wheel, keep it steady. Yeah. When your lights go out, are you ready? Let them know we do more than just play ball, baby.
We do it all. Show number 11. Guys, we appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. All the comments. See you next Thursday. Peace.